All right. Well, we got to move on. Now I'm looking over here. I got different, but let's get rolling, friends. And here's the name of the presentation. The first thing you got to do is make sure it all works beforehand. So I struck out there in life here, but we're going to make this work. So I apologize for that. Um, so there's two types of people in the world. We have a raft, and we got to get across this lake. The first person builds the raft. They make it safe. It's ready to go. And they just do it. They put the raft together and they get going. And now they're rowing across and they're finding what works. They're finding what doesn't work. They're testing the air. They're doing this, but they're rowing the whole time and they're improving and they're getting better. Then there is the person who is thinking about going across the lake. They start doing research. They read a book about lakes. They read a book about rafts. They do podcasts on rafts. They go see the site of where they're going to go. They do this, and then maybe 2, 3, 4 years from now, they might set a date on the calendar to plan to go across the lake in the raft. My advice, friends, is to just start that presentation. Just make that presentation because someday's not on your calendar. And life is short, things happen, people move. Make that presentation. And success leaves clues, right? You've been to presentations. Maybe you've seen me somewhere. Maybe you've seen other people where you love their presentations, right? So not only am I showing you and doing this presentation today, I want to model the things I'm talking about in there. There's Team Marotta, there's my family. My kids sell my books. They work on commission. That's how they roll in my house. And now I got 3 teenagers. I'm the filler. I'm the filler of the gas tanks, the toilet paper, the refrigerator, and certainly the fireplace this winter. Oh, is this the box, Arlen? I see something here. Get out of here. Ah, it's not going. It's not going away, Arlen. So again, there's my team, and I'm coming to you from Port Jervis, New York. We're an hour and a half northwest of New York City, and really proud of the work we've done here. We had a 60% graduation rate in 2005 when I got here, and now we're rocking right around 90% and continuing to grow and get better. I could see this little box here, Arlen, and it is driving me nuts. I used to referee, friends. I'm going to call a technical foul on that little box down there. And here's what we're doing. We are talking about that presentation, but not only the nuts and bolts of the presentation, about the belief in yourself, the confidence in yourself to make it work, make it happen. And here's our 3 parts for today. The stories and the props, which Arlen talked about, then the nuts and bolts, the techniques and the strategies, and then certainly the technology. Arlen and I had a glitch today. I'm on social media, friends. I think it's important to be a connected educator. Arlen gave me some nice compliments earlier about some of the videos I've done there. But I think it's important that we are connected. And I want you to think about 3 things. Get your pen. I know this is under recording, but we learn better when we write them down. So as we get started, you got to be yourself. Imposter syndrome is real. People see other things and they, oh, how come I'm not that good? Or how come these are some blogs I write, things I do. I like to create the images. I never did them before, friends. I just started doing it. And it's, again, that process of rowing the raft across the lake. You just got to do it. And you gotta be yourself. I'm going to give you some homework. Write this down. It's a TED Talk. Arlen, I know you're very active in the chat. If you could find it, Arlen, on YouTube. Choice, happiness, and spaghetti sauce. I'm not going to go into it, but it's about variety. It's about, people like a variety of types of things, and they also like a variety of presentations. So that's your homework. And friends, is the presentation an art or a science? Which is it? And the answer is both, right? It's both. You want the presentation to look nice, sound like nice, be looking good, but you also got to be exact about some things. You got to be, thanks, Arlen. You got to be on point with some things with the presentation as well. Arlen, I got this box here. I'm going to ignore the box. I want to fill your hearts with inspiration, friends. but I also want to fill your pockets with things that you can use tomorrow when you do that presentation. And it's not magic, right? It's not magic. If you wake up tomorrow morning and say, I wish I'm a better presenter, I want to make a better presentation, nothing's happening, right? Well, what is it? What is it? We know. It's things that we do on purpose and we make work in our presentations. So let's get started here with making those presentations, okay? And again, here's the 3 topics. Part number 1 are the stories. The stories. Take a second and read that. If we were in person, I'd have somebody in the audience read that out loud. Something that happened in the past that you could use right now, and it'll help you in the future. Stories, friends. So let's talk about resilience. Let's talk about a story of continuing to survive and thrive. There was an old donkey in central Illinois that fell in a well. And the farmer heard the donkey screaming in the well, and he looked down, he says, man, let's put this donkey out of his misery, and we'll also fill in this hazard. So they start dumping dirt in there, him and his partner, and they're dumping dirt in, and the donkey's screaming. And then they stopped hearing it, and they said, well, we must have buried the donkey there. Let's finish up. But now they start to hear this scratching and rustling, and they look down, and every time they threw a pile of dirt, that donkey shook it off and stepped up. They threw more dirt in. The donkey shook off the dirt and stepped up. Every time we get dumped on in education, you got to keep surviving and thriving. Shake it off, friends, and step up. And that donkey shook it right off and stepped up out of that well. We get dumped on too much as educators, friends. You gotta continue to shake it off and step up. You tell the right story at the right time to the right people. There's a lot of people from Illinois here. I think you might know somebody named Jordan. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Well, here's a QR code. And the story's in there. I wrote a blog there. If you've seen the movie Air, Michael Jordan, right? The story of Nike. And I'll make it a quick story. Michael's going to sign with Nike. I'm not ruining the movie because you know that Michael signed with Nike. You know that. Well, Mrs. Jordan calls Phil Knight and says, we're going to sign with you. And they're super excited. They really wanted Michael and they got him. And she says, Phil, there's just one thing. Michael gets 10% of every shoe sold. What? No way. That would make Michael an owner in the company. We can't do that. And Mrs. Jordan's line, friends, Mrs. Jordan says to him, it's just a shoe until Michael steps into it. So what I tell educators is it's just a classroom until you step into it. It's just another principal job until you step in that office. It's just another district until the superintendent leads it. Did Michael change the game with the sneakers? Yes, he did. And so can you in your school district. It's just a shoe until Michael steps into it. How about props? I like props here, friends. Here is the pencil. I keep looking this way. My camera's over here. So the story's there. Put your phone up. Arlen, if you're able to grab it and then put it in the chat. But it's the story of the pencil, the great pencil. And there's 5 attributes to the great pencil. I'm not going to go do them all right now. I'm going to let you grab that. But when you're telling stories, you have a graduation speech, you got this great prop in your hand. And then when I speak to kids, they each get a pencil. When I'm at graduation, things like that, I use the pencil and it's just a great prop and it gets people's attention. So there's 5 attributes to the great pencil that we can relate to education. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing now in the interest of time. But you can get that there. And Arlen, if you're able to grab it off there. But using props is a great way to connect. Arlen, if you need me to go back, I can on that. All right. So you tell the right story at the right time to the right people. If you need a story, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. I got a lot of them and I keep adding stories. Okay. Part 2. Part two, timing and flow. I lost 5 minutes with the start here with this thing here because we had a technical glitch. But you got to have the right flow. I got exactly 50, 55 minutes today. And you never want to be too long. Arlen was joking about the actor Brody the other night in the Academy Awards, right? He went so long. It was the longest speech ever. You got to have the right timing, people's attention spans, all that kind of stuff, standing, sitting, moving. Ask a question. You want to have an engaging presentation? Ask a question. Ask a lot of questions. When you can get audience talking and sharing, ask a question. This is something I do with when I make people stand up. We do an activity and then I make them talk to each other and I only give them 1 minute. But everyone either has a goal or everyone has a wellness hack they like to share. It gets people talking. Make the presentation personal to them. Where are you? Awesome, Arlen, thank you. Where are you, right? We're online right now with ELN Network. We have people from all over the country, but it's an online. My slides have the ELN logo. Well, I was just in Texas a couple weeks ago, right? I was excited to be there. I took a picture of their sign. I have their logo, and I certainly have their state. It makes you connected to your audience. Last weekend, beautiful area, St. Simons, Georgia, gorgeous. And I was lucky enough to have my wife and my daughter, and I always like to get there early and take pictures, and bam, it's in the presentation. I got the state flag of Georgia. The palm trees is where the conference was, and then there's a sign in town. They know I took that in town. It helped connect me to my audience, and I was lucky enough. I had my wife, my daughter, and her friend there. I don't want the presentation to be all about me, but I want it to be personal. I love my family. They were there in person, and I feel that these things help. Get audience participation. I just offered about asking a question. Well, I like this. Again, success leaves clues. So right now in the chat, I can't have you call out loud, but right now in the chat, what are the best presentations? This is about presentations. Well, what is the best presentations that you've been to? What is an aspect of that presentation that makes it the best? In the chat, let's go, everybody. Right now, what makes a great presentation? That's right, Taryn, energy. I'm trying to bring the energy here despite being frustrated with the technology there. More pictures, less words. Very good, Lisa. Personal, authentic, funny, Lendell. Absolutely. Appeals to your emotion. A big finish, Raul. Awesome. Organized and good flow. Engaging. Great. Excellent answers. Nikita, a balance of information, application, and certainly emotion, right? You want to have heart. You want to have humor, that kind of stuff. A good balance of all of that. That's right. Stacy, I'm going to show a few things of organization in here that I got feedback that they said, Andrew, it was really good, but I got lost in the presentation. That's good. Yeah, right away, Stephanie, right away, you want to be able to use it. Practical, short videos. Well, you guys must have seen my presentation because we got a lot there, right? I make people stand. And then again, I ask a question. You ask them to get engaged, you get them talking to each other. Again, I said the ELN network, there's their logo. You got to know your audience, right? It's after school. The weather in Illinois today is rainy and cold and damp. That's a challenging situation. I've been in Baptist churches in the South, and I've also been to happy hour in Vegas presenting. Those are two very different type situations. In that Baptist church, I asked the pastor for forgiveness because I certainly can't curse. I'm a New Yorker, Italian from New York, and it's just an adjective in our world. But I knew I couldn't curse there, whereas in Vegas, you throw some in here and there. Know your audience, know what they're looking for, all that kind of stuff. You guys in your thing talked about videos, right? I don't want to talk the whole time. Can I show a video? Well, here's Destiny. Destiny is a friend of mine from Texas. I did a presentation on podcasts, about podcasting. Arlen, let's put that in the thing for next year. But instead of me talking about podcasting, I said, hey, Destiny started a podcast. Why don't we meet Destiny?
Hi, everybody. My name is Destiny, and I am the host of the Spoken Roots podcast, so check it out. Truly, the hardest part for me was just starting. Like, once I got going, things have been great. I am almost 20 episodes into my podcast journey, and I'm loving every minute of it. But my biggest piece of advice to you is to just start. You are going to figure things out. You will get better every time, and people want to listen to you. Okay? You may think they don't, but I promise you, you're going to find an audience and you're going to find people that vibe with you. So Nike up and just do it.
She put Nike in there. I had talked about Nike. She talked about starting, right? And you'll learn by doing. That was very similar to the raft. Little videos, right? Personal.
Hi.
I talk about my mom a lot in my presentations, right? Making it personal. So here's my mom.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Sparks. My name is Andrew Marotta, host of Leadership Sparks, and I got Grammy with me. It's her 78th birthday. My mother, Dory's my biggest fan. Welcome to Leadership Sparks.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Grammy, on your 78th birthday, what would you say on Leadership Sparks for people, some life advice here from a wise young lady?
Well, live wisely, love much, be happy, help others.
And when I'm doing this in person, I stop it now. I stop it and I say, hey, that's pretty good advice for us educators, right? My mom's talking about real life, but us as educators, look at that. So friends, I challenge you today. Live wisely, love much, be happy, and try to help others. Great advice from my mom. Again, it's not me talking on the microphone. It's somebody else connected.
Hey everyone, and welcome
to me there. It's important to have an engaging presentation that you have to move. Right now, I'm standing, and I think you can tell that here in my office. I'm standing. It helps with my energy. But when you can move and you could be close to somebody and you could hand the mic and you could smile and you could high five, that helps you. Well, Andrew, I get nervous and I want to hide behind the podium. Well, number one, they know that. And number two, here is a tip. If you get nervous and your hands shake and you take that microphone, right? Here's my microphone. Take that microphone and tuck your arm in and hold your arm against your side. And now you're moving and now you're talking. And again, eventually you'll loosen up, but you won't shake with your hand holding against your side, your elbow, tuck it in your gut there. But all of these help engage your audience there. Arlen opened the session today about asking who you are, where you're from. I like to ask questions, right? I'll say, who's a first-year educator? Who is originally from Peoria, Illinois? Who is from here? Who went to school here? Things like that you just get people engaged. Who wants to have an amazing time today? Who thinks I'm going to stink as a presenter? You get them laughing, you get them smiling, you get them moving. Things like that, they help you. If we're live and in person, I do 2 claps, right? And instead of I train the audience, bam, I do 2 claps. When I'm talking to referees, when I'm refereeing, I blow the whistle. Train your audience to keep it moving. And then when somebody has a great answer, I'll say, let's have 2 claps for Mike. Just the sound, the clapping, it helps keep the audience engaged. It helps the energy there. Getting the crowd to move depending on what your topic is and getting them to believe in it. Here's one that I like to do. It's an affirmation, right? And I want to have them participate. So I'd have everyone stand up, and you could do it at your desk right now. If you're sitting, stand up, get some energy in your legs. All right. We got principals on here. We got educators. So this is an affirmation. So put your hand up. You ready? Say, I can do this. Let's say it again. I can do this. If we got a room of 100 people, that's powerful. That's engaging. They're all saying, I can do this. That is an affirmation. Doing the touching, the talking, it all is engaging the audience. And I give them another affirmation. I have everything inside me. I need to be successful. I have everything inside me. I need to be successful. Those are affirmations. Here's one more. And if, again, we're in person, I'm going to have you yell this out. I say, don't quit. You yell, can't fail. Don't quit, can't fail. We have principles on here. You want to do that with your staff? Some of them are going to think it's corny, but you know what? You are engaging them. You are getting them fired up. We got to improve those reading scores. Don't quit, can't fail. Get them to say it. These are affirmations that do it. I like music. If I'm at a conference and I'm a session, I'm not the main speaker, I'm a session, I am playing that music loud as people are walking by because they're walking by. Wow. That gives energy in the room. If at your school you can have live music, you have parents there, you're going to have a budget meeting and you're going to be talking about their money, have the kids playing music ahead of time. And it gives good vibes. When you can have music in your presentation, it's a home run. Giving them resources, giving people things. Here is a resource for you. Hold your camera up. It's going to have you make a copy. This is my rotating slideshow. When I give the keynote next year at the IPA conference, when people are coming in, there is going to be great music. And there is going to be a rotating slideshow on the board. People are going to walk in and go, this is going to be good. I'm getting them already thinking that it's going to be good. Rotating slideshow, dope playlist. Arlen's a musician. It better be good music because he is definitely listening. So hold your phone up. It's going to make you make a copy of that. Take out the pictures of Andrew Marotta and put in pictures of your school, your teachers, your kids. And now when parents are coming to your school, you have motivational quotes and you have nice pictures of your school. I'll give you one more minute to do it. Oh, Arlen, that's it? That's the doc for the slideshow?
Yep, that's right. I just scanned the QR code and posted it there. It should still allow you to make a copy.
You are the man, Arlen, the man. I like to pause in the presentations, friends. Adult learners are different. If you're just going, we're talking about flow, right? If you're just going the whole time and you don't give them a second to pause, So right now, we're going to pause right now. What's a question you have? What's a comment you want to put in the chat? We got 2 parts done already. Put something in the chat. Give me some on-demand feedback. What's something that you liked so far? You got to let the adults pause and reflect. When I first started presenting, thanks, Raul. Good, yeah, quick personal videos, Kim, 60 to 90 seconds, absolutely. When I first started presenting, I really wanted to really do a good job, and I was putting too much content in there. It's like trying to squeeze the toothpaste back in the tube. You gotta pause, you gotta let people reflect. How about one more? How about one more comment or a question? I like to have adults write down, right? Make sure you write something. If you just say, who has a question? No one's going to ask right off the bat. Let them think for a second and do it. That's it, Janan, if I'm saying that right. Yeah. Too much information, Ane. Yeah. Less is more. Less is more, for sure. You could always follow up and send more information. Don't put too much in there. All right. We did these first 2. We talked about organization. Here now, this is a way to keep me in line, but also the audience in line. What have we done so far? Well, here's the third part is technology. All right. And think about the tools we can use here, right? Think about all of these different tools that we have and we can use. There's so many tools out there. And think about, we used a lot of them right there. We're on, a lot of my slides are Canva. I'm using actual Google Slides. We're on Zoom, bit.ly links, QR codes. I print my pictures in person. Arlen has a picture I mailed to him when we were in person that I printed there. So learning these technologies and using them, I think are important. I'm a Google Slide person. I like Google Slides. I use Canva. I don't use PowerPoint, and I know some really good people that use PowerPoint. That's not me. Write this down, friends. If you've never tried it, use it. The background remover. There's a bunch of free versions there, but when you're putting graphics in your presentations, removing the background is a great way to do it. So think about my presentation. There's my logo. If the white square is in there, which looks better? The round one, right? It just looks sharp there. So any image, you can download it. You go to background remover, and then it removes it. Look how much sharper the white circle looks. Or again, even that red and black one there. So here's the ELN logo, right? It just gives a different look without that sharp line in there. So if you've never tried that, try it. It's called background remover. You gotta download it and upload it. The technology, friends, we're all different. Again, I want you to, Arlen put it in the chat. Watch that choice, happiness, and spaghetti sauce. But I don't like when the whole slide comes up and it's too much information. Yeah, Cheryl, I love the background remover too. This was a slide where I was talking about things we could ask the students, right? And instead of just saying that, I'm talking about these things, but I'm slowly kind of having them pop up as I'm talking, different colors, all of these things, right? Just having the words come up in a different manner help with the flow of it. But look how aesthetically pleasing that looks, right? Is it an art or a science? Is it both? Yes, the answer is both. The words come up. I love to use this story. Again, if you're a teacher, you're an educator, you could use this story. And if we're in person, I have people read it. Whatever it is. Let's say we're talking about school safety. And you're talking to your teachers. Hey, and you might be sitting there saying, hey, this ain't my job. I'm a teacher. I don't need to have the school safe. Well, hey, let's read a story about some people in our school. And here it is. And you have them read it. I'm going to let you take a picture of all these slides. So I'm going to let you stop there. If you want to use this story, you could use it in anywhere. But look how each character has their own color. The words come up, slowly there. So take a picture. And now we'll move on, right? It's a story about 4 people. Everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. But when we're in person, we have people read it out loud. If we're in the South, they might have an accent. If we're in New York, we might have an accent, right? It's just fun, right? Everybody thought it was anyone's job, but nobody realized that anyone wouldn't do it. There's another picture. You really could use this story too with a lot of different topics. So somebody wrote in the chat about having a big background, a big ending. Well, this is an ending I use after my talks, right? So here's the last one. So this one, I was talking about building partnerships in your communities. So now you have all of them right there. You have all 3 pictures. Take pictures of those. Great story there. That's not my job. And do we say that a lot in education? Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Yes. So that's a great way. Technology, art, reading, engagement. There was a lot with those slides right there. And again, this is your preference. Maybe you're very neat and organized and you want all the slides to look the same way because you want them to look that way. When Mrs. Marotta cooks, she is following that recipe to the T. Everything needs to be cleaned and put right away. And when I cook, it's going to take some time to clean the kitchen. I got the oil out. I got a glass of wine. I got Frank Sinatra going. I got a lot going on. I'm a lot of Marotta. It's up to you. But I like to vary it. Is it an art or is it a science? Again, just look at this slide again, right? I got different sizes. I went from white to black there. Boom. And I got a script. I got a different color. All up to you, right? All up to you and how you want to manage those things there. And again, having people talk out loud, read different things, different color slides. You want to make a presentation, there's a lot of variety. But the one thing I want you to focus on is making that presentation. You took this course for a reason. Arlen said this is one of the biggest enrollments they've ever had on an ELN live session because people want to be good at presenting. Well, focus on that. Continue to make presentations that are engaging and fun and trying different things. The variety is part of it, but your focus is to make that presentation and focus on it. I practice my presentations over and over and over and over and over and over. All right? And I'm going to give you a tip too. Count the time of each slide. If you have a 30-minute faculty meeting, you better go through and count. This slide's going to take 30 seconds. This slide's only going to take 10 seconds. This slide's going to do this, and add them up because your content better equal 15 to 20 minutes because you want to have a little wiggle room, a little time, right? My battery's dying, so you might not be able to see it, but I know I got about 13 minutes left in my presentation. And I like to pause. I like to allow you to think and process and think about it. So right now, again, back to the chat. Best takeaway. What's a question? What are you thinking? Rate yourself, right? Let's go in the chat right now. Rate yourself. 10 is you're an excellent presenter. 1 is you are terrible and you really want to get better. Let me see some numbers in the chat. Let me see some numbers. All right, well, that's why people took this chat. There's an 8. There's a 7. A solid 2, Linda. A solid 2. Stephanie, you're not a 1. You're better than that, Stephanie. Well, Arlen, there's the answer why people took this. So maybe we'll do this one again. This is good. I do not like to present, but I'm going to do. Jacqueline, reach out. You're the New Yorker. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. And friends, if you have a presentation, here's my email. If you have a presentation and you want to send it to me, I'd be happy to sit with you and coach you up a little bit. We won the state championship in football this year in Port Jervis. My coach is going to the state conference this year to present. He's a great coach, and they won the state championship. He's not the best presenter, so I coached him up. I met with him 3 times over the last 2 weeks, doing all these things that you and I are talking about today. Yes, Cheryl, we always want to get better. Always want to get better. Ane, I hope I'm pronouncing that, a speech impediment. Have you ever seen The King's Speech, Ane? The King's Speech. Great movie, very inspiring there, talking about a speech impediment. Bill Walton, too. I'm watching the Bill Walton documentary. Was a basketball player from out west and, there. So good. Okay. You are pronouncing it right. Way to go, Ane. Well, Ane, put that in your toolbox. The King's Speech. Great, 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 great movie. What's another question, friends? How about a question? I saw a lot of 5s and under. Again, if I can help you, don't hesitate to reach out. Stephanie, you're not a 1. All right. Good. Ruth, that is a great tip right there. I prefer my students to present. You guide them, you coach them up. When the kids can present, that's a home run. You have a school board meeting. Nobody wants to hear the adults talk so much. Absolutely, you bring kids in there. Absolutely. Good. Good. Okay, I have a couple more things and then maybe some time for Q&A. Remember those 3 points in the beginning? You got to be you. You have to be you, friends. You have to be you, but your presentation should add value to other people. I hope this presentation made you think about that. You want to add value. It should uplift people. I usually ask in my ELN presentations, what's your energy level beforehand? But I want the presentations to energize you. I'm going to put a word in the chat. I didn't put this slide in this presentation. Here's the word, Shakti. There's the word, friends. It's called Shaktipat. There's an energy that presenters have, that great educators have. Kids can sense it, right? It's teachers can sense it. There's a positive energy that you should uplift people there. You want to inspire people. You want to provide hope to people. And when you're done speaking, they better have more belief in what you're talking about than less, right? You want to help people believe. You want to give them inspiration and certainly make them believe in what's happening. And you want to give them a certain feeling, whether you're talking to your school, right? I'm proud of Port Jervis here. I'm really proud of it. I want people to feel that pride too. So you got to make them feel a certain way. And is it an art? Is it a science? It's both. It's really both there. So, okay, a couple more work in the chat here. How many seconds between slides? Ruth, again, I want you to watch Choice, Happiness, and Spaghetti Sauce. Arlen put it in the chat there. It's a TED Talk. It's 18 minutes. Variety. Ruth, were there more slides that I left longer on the screen than not? Yes. I like a lot of slides. I'm going to look right now. Let's stop this. I'm going to look. Look how many slides I got. 83 in a 45-minute, 50-minute session. I got 83 slides. Yet, Ruth, I'll say this to you. I went to a presentation. Again, I was in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, last week. I had a lot of slides. The presenter before me, who was phenomenal, had the same slide on the whole presentation. They didn't change it. That's how good they were. So the answer is however many slides you think are best, Ruth, because it's your presentation. How about another question? Thank you, Ruth, for your question. And again, when you give people a chance to think, you say, hey, guys, I want you to take a minute and I want you to write something down. It takes away the awkwardness of silence, right? If you say, who has a question? And no one says anything, it's okay. Hey, friends, I got a timer here. I'm going to put 2 minutes on there. I want you to write down your favorite thing from this presentation, and I want you to write down a question, okay? Then everyone's going to stand. And then, with your elbow partner, or you're going to find someone new in the room, you're going to ask a question, and the other person's going to say their favorite takeaway, okay? So now you're engaging them, you're giving them time to think, and then you're giving them time to share their, instead of saying, who has a question? Because adults, kids, they're not going to jump right out there with a question. So you got to give them a little time. How long would you say it takes a 30-minute presentations to build? Stephanie, good question. Good question. Stephanie, I've been married 25 years. It takes Andrew Marotta a lot less time than it takes Mrs. Marotta. You know, people take different times. I am a tinkerer. Stephanie, I like to tinker. This is a brand new presentation. I tinkered with it. I had the outline. I moved it. I changed this. I tinker. Sometimes I go to conferences and they're like, give me your presentation, 2 months before. I'm like, I added those slides of my wife, my daughter, the morning of the presentation because I took them the day before. But generally, Stephanie, you're looking at 2 to 3 hours. for a 30-minute presentation. I like to gather all the quotes and pictures and references, and I like to get all that stuff. It'll take you 2 to 3 hours to put it together. So, but some people, Stephanie, the raft. Some people just start rowing and they do it, and other people planning and planning and planning and planning and planning. It's really up to you. But I take longer than not, Stephanie, because I want it to be a great presentation. So, yeah. And Cheryl, if I do give the slides ahead of time, I'll tell them at the hey, I'm using this one today. Yeah. Janan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Janan, here's what I'll say about stories. They're everywhere, Janan. Stories are everywhere. Props are everywhere, right? Baseball season is starting here. Bam, a baseball story. I'm here in New York, the Big Apple. Here's a story about seeds. They're everywhere, Janan. Start with the book. Are you ready, Janan? Write it down. It's called Leading Narratives. Leading Narratives by Dan Spainhour. Spelt like Spain, spelt like hour. Dan Spainhour. It's a collection of stories. Janan, if you're a churchgoer and you don't like curses, there's a few dirty stories in there, but there's also a lot of good motivational stories. It's called Leading Narratives by Dan Spainhour. Is a good way to start. Janan, you want to reach out to me? I'll give you a few. I'll give you a few stories also. But Janan, you just got to start looking for them. You just got to start looking for the stories there, and you'll find them. You tell the right story at the right time to the right people. How about one more question? These are good questions. Thank you for engaging in the chat. And if I had too many slides, you don't have time to do this, but you got to engage the audience in a right way. Sometimes you let the adults talk to each other first, and then you say, okay, Mike, don't tell me what you were thinking, Mike. I want you to tell me what Arlen said, right? And now I'm having Mike talk about what Arlen said because I asked Mike to be an active listener, things like that. One more question? There we go. I begin each faculty meeting with a find the joy story, a share of human interaction with students. Beautiful, Lindell, beautiful. That's a great sharing. Jeffrey, thank you. Good ideas. Good. Friends, here's my thoughts about presenting. I saw a lot of 5s and under on there. Well, here's the truth about it. Here's the truth about it. Let's say them out loud. If we were together, we'd say these out loud. But if you're in your room there, say them out loud with me. Sometimes it will. Sometimes your presentation is going to be a home run. I've presented at conferences. I'm the first one in the morning. It's great. It's a beautiful day. There's great energy in the room. I presented there. And then sometimes I presented, it's been a blizzard. People were in a foul mood. It was right before lunch. They were hungry. The lighting wasn't good, and like it wasn't great. But so what? So what? Someone's waiting, the next faculty meeting, the next group is waiting. So you got to stick with it. Presenting, you got to keep going. You can't be afraid to fail, friends. Don't quit, can't fail. Don't quit, can't fail. We're going to end with these 3 points. You have a great presentation in you. You have a great story in you. You have a great presentation strategy in you. You have it. You want to create that presentation, you can, and you just got to go do it. That faculty meeting, that TED Talk you want to give. I gave my first TED Talk last year, and it was invigorating. They screwed the camera up. There was the video didn't work out. I'm going to do it again. If you have a connection to a TED Talk, please invite me because I want to do it again. I had never done one before. Just do it there, friends. Last couple takeaways, and we'll get you out of here. Take care of yourself first, your family first, and then everything else. Take care of your family first, take care of you first, and then everything else. I'm very fortunate, very blessed. My family there. I know Arlen's got young kids. You got to engage with your family. So important. Maybe you don't think you can do it. Maybe you don't think you have PowerPoint or Zoom or Canva or whatever. Well, everyone could do it. Everyone could do something. I love this quote. I find it very inspiring. Even if you're given one slide in the presentation, make it great. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Friends, I'm a speaker. I'd love to come speak to you in person. I'm happy to help you with these type things, but I love speaking in person. Again, I'm honored, Arlen and his team. I'm coming to Peoria next October to be the keynote speaker. So if you're in Illinois, I hope you'll come to the Principals Association. And word of mouth helps. If you want to speak to your school district or whomever and say, hey, man, I saw this speaker, word of mouth helps. And so I'd love to come. My books are on Audible. My books are on my website. The books are on Amazon there. And I got one coming out this year as well. I'm excited about that. And I do a blog and a podcast, friends. This helps me with all my stuff, writing and blogging and meeting people. You could sign up at andrewmarotta.com. I know Arlen is an avid reader. But I enjoy writing the blogs. I enjoy the podcast. I had a great guest on yesterday. He was fantastic. So before you leave, when we end the presentation here, before we leave, don't just turn the computer off and run to the next thing. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. What was the best thing you liked? Put it in your calendar. Put a Google Calendar thing, an invitation. Invite yourself to sit down and work on that presentation or do that thing. Don't just run away from it, okay? Don't just run away from it. Keep rolling there. Arlen, thank you for that. And we're going to stop here, friends. We got a couple minutes left, but it's an honor to be with you. And I hope you learned something. And it was a lot of fun. So I hope you learned something. We got some time for a few more questions. I do apologize greatly for the technical difficulties in the beginning there. So good. How about any other questions? I see a lot of comments in there. Thank you, Ane. Thank you, Travis. Raul, you only sent that to the host and panelists, but we appreciate you, Raul. Rhonda with the H. Fantastic presentation. I like that. Yeah, Cheryl, you gotta give it away, right? You want something in your life, you want to be a great presenter, you gotta give it away. And as they said in Hamilton, I believe it was you, Cheryl, the world is wide enough. I don't hide ideas, we share ideas, and I think that's important. The world is wide enough. Yeah. Do you ever present to organizations that want to be a bit less? A good question today. Do you ever have organizations that want your presentation to be less personable and more professional? Ane, here's what I'll say. If Arlen was hiring me to come out there and he say, Andrew, I really want you to focus on this, this, and this, I'm going to do my best I can to focus on that. But if Arlen's asking me to present on literacy, that's not me. I'm going to say, go hire another person. You're hiring Andrew Marotta. I want to be flexible on this. But I don't ask people how you want me to present. I tell organizations like IPA, you're going to get a great presentation. I'm going to knock it out of the park. But what are some things you'd like me to focus on? What are some areas that you would like me to focus on? The conference I was just at, Ane, their theme was called Reeling It In. And REEL. It was like a fishing thing. And they were talking about real energy, invigorating. I forgot what the other E was, but I hit those parts of the acronym of real. But I don't ever, less personal is not in Andrew Marotta's wheelhouse. That's not how we roll. When I see Arlen, we hug it out. But they know what they get when they're hiring me. And so I think that's important. You understand what people are asking you to present about. Good. Cool. Arlen, thanks, brother.
Andrew, thank you so much. Another awesome presentation. I loved it. You took us all the way from the PowerPoint design to the performance side, and then even got into some of the tools you use. to make your presentations powerful. So thanks to you, Andrew, and thanks to all of our participants. Great questions, guys. Really appreciate the engagement throughout. That's what makes these live webinars so much fun, is to get to be online with a real live presenter. So much of Ed Leaders Network is pre-recorded, so these are really special moments to get to actually ask real questions of a real live educator and presenter. So thanks, Andrew, once again.
Thanks, everybody.